All right, what's up, guys? We are back live yet again with episode 54 of the Super Deformed Gamescast. As always, I am one of your hosts, John, at Mr. Megadov on Twitter, and Brandon is here tonight. What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
I've got a fucking massive headache, so if I come off as a little testy tonight,
I got a
apologize.
little headache. I got a little headache.
I got one of those tension fucking headaches, man. Like I feel the base of my neck all the way to the base of my skull.
I have a VR headache.
Nice.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that, man. We're gonna talk about that. JT is here, and Matt, what's up, man? Glad you're here.
Hey.
Okay, and the columnist man in video games is back once again. What's up, Steve?
Going on?
And I think Matt from Nolan Nerdcast might join us later. And I know Doc's not going to be here, and Gabe, who knows? Maybe Gabe will show up. I don't know. And Jeff's not going to be here with us tonight. But there's a lot to talk about. And JT, I want to save you for later, man, or save you for last, because you've got quite a bit to say. You've got quite a bit to say about Shadow Warrior 2 and first review code, by the way.
Yep.
Fuck yeah. Got our first review code. We're going to talk about Shadow Warrior 2, and JT's going to talk about his PSVR impressions. But first, let's start with Brandon, and we'll talk about what you're playing this week, man. So why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
So the game of the year got a new update this week. In the festive spirit of Halloween, we have new skins and all that shit in Overwatch, similar to what they did for the summer games. And with it comes a new Horde mode, and just good times for all.
Yeah, so detail that for me, because I'm gonna hopefully jump into it tomorrow night, I think. But what's going on with the horror mode? Because I have not played that yet.
So it's near the end of the map Eichenwald, right where the battering ram breaks down the door, and it's just like a bunch of zombies. You can play as Hanzo, McCree, Soldier, or Anna, and it's just 4-player co-op. And there's zombies come, and then they have bosses like Reaper, Junkrat, and Roadhog. And it's all, Halloween themed. Reinhardt is narrating the whole thing while it's happening. So it's super well done for a free temporary mode.
Yeah, I played like 30 minutes of that earlier, and it's fun, but it seems like it's very short.
Yeah. I mean, the hard difficulty is hard.
Okay.
You need to have your strategy down.
Yeah.
So playing this, does it make you feel like this is something they would include on a regular basis as opposed to it being like limited time only?
Yeah, the game needs more permanent modes. I mean, the rotating weekly brawls are cool, but I mean, like, all you can do in the game is the shitty training mode, like, which needs to be better, and quick play, competitive, or the brawl. So, like, there needs to be more things to do other than just what they have in the rotating. And PvE would go a long way.
Yeah, that's a complaint that I've heard levied at Overwatch since its inception, and I guess those voices are kind of growing louder as the game goes on. It's not like the game's still not fun. I mean, it's still an amazing fucking game. But I do feel like
multiple hours a day. And there's a new character coming next week.
What's that, Sombra?
Yep.
What do we know about her?
She has a submachine gun. She's gonna hack shit. That's it. That's it. Well, we know what she looks. We know what she looks like. I don't know what she does.
Hopefully she's not another Anna.
Anna's like one of the best characters in the game.
I only hate Anna because I'm not any good with her.
I'm not any good with her either. She has a high skill.
It's just not my play style. Have you? Did you download Res on PS4?
Not yet. I mean, it can't be a large download. I'll get to it soon.
No, I actually just got done downloading it. It took like 15 minutes, and that's over I'm using my wireless connection. It doesn't take very long. It's not a very big game.
I can't. Wait. I'm so excited.
I'm so fucking stoked. I don't even have PSVR, and I'm fucking stoked.
No, neither do I. But speaking of PSVR,
pretty good.
So hold on. JT's got a lot to talk about. So we're gonna skip him, and we're gonna go over to Matt, and we're gonna go to Steve, and then JT's going to hit us with some fucking PSVR and Shadow Warrior 2 goodness. That's how I want to do this, because JT's going to talk for a while, I'm in. So, Matt.
Yeah.
What are you playing?
Way too much Gears 4. Like 20 hours or something like that. It's really good. Probably my game of the year so far.
Really?
Yeah.
I already declared the game of the year. You can't.
Oh, yeah. We'll go with like second best. And then earlier today, I finished the Turing test. Maybe you played that?
I have heard of it. I have not played it.
It's I don't want to say the Portal ripoff, but like it so desperately wants to be Portal, and it's really good, but like it just doesn't.
But it's not as good as Portal, I imagine.
No, not at all. Like it even has the so in Portal, every time you leave a test chamber, you walk through the hallway and it like scans your gun and eliminates the portals. So you do that. You have a gun that has 2 functions, like one on each trigger. They even have a little screen that like counts down how many puzzles you have left, like Portal. So it's like unabashedly copying Portal, but it's a lot more serious, and there's a lot of like philosophy in it. Kind of pretentious sometimes, but it's still pretty interesting.
So basically, it's like STGC the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Lots of philosophy, pretentious. Okay, cool. No, I like that. I'll have to pick it up. Who's the dev?
Oh God, what is it? It's something with an H.
Is it some developer that we've never heard of, or
I think so. Yeah, it is.
Is that on consoles or is that a PC game?
It's PC and Xbox One. It's Bulkhead Interactive is the developer.
Bulkhead. I feel like I know them for some reason, and I just can't put my finger.
Let's see what they made. Nope, nothing I've ever heard of.
Yep. But fuck
one.
it. If it's good, I trust your judgment, man.
Yeah, it's got a pretty cool plot twist about halfway through that just throws in a bunch of new mechanics. So I think it's worth the play. It's only like 5 hours long. It's $20.
You said, Matt, you said something on Twitter I was hoping you would extrapolate on. I saw you tweet out, it was, I don't know, maybe a couple days ago, but you compared Gears 4 to The Force Awakens.
Yeah, it's mostly obviously it's all in the story, but it just feels very similar in like the legacy, I hate this term, but the legacy quel thing. How like it picks up 25 years later. It's a lot of the themes are based on like legacy and different generations and stuff. I'm not going to say anything that's going to spoil it, but like the threat is similar to the old threat, but it's changed in a lot of ways, kind of like the First Order is to the Stormtroopers. And I can't remember. There was a few other things, but it feels very similar. Also, it's a lot funnier than the first 3, which The Force Awakens was probably like the funniest Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it just has a lot of the same tone too. So
cool. So, all right, cool. Do you feel like it deserved better than an 85 meta? Because I've heard people kind of say it's actually better than some reviews are giving it credit for.
Yeah, I think I don't really put a lot of stock in Metacritic, but I think it
and you should
the low 90s because I think it's better than 1 and 2 at least. I don't, but I know a lot of people don't like 3, and I like 3 the most. So
it's got to be better than Judgment.
Weird one. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I tried playing Judgment again, and I was like, why does this game exist? It's fun, but I just don't understand why it exists.
Gears of War Judgment was very similar to God of War Ascension in the sense that
it came out the same week.
It came out the same week, and it just. But why? Like it just who fucking cares? It didn't need to be
cash grab.
That's exactly what it was. Anything else, man?
I just picked up The Long Dark, played like half an hour of that, and it's probably the best survival game from what I've seen. The most like in-depth survival game, but it actually feels good to play as opposed to just like, all right, I got to fill these little bars and make sure I don't keel over for no reason. But so I'm hoping that stays cool. But
was that like a horror game or something?
It's kind of, those Steam survival games that get released every other week. Yeah. It's kind of like that. But it's mostly based on like environment, surviving the environment as opposed to enemies. So like you can freeze to death, and so far I've almost frozen to death, but I've also almost starved to death so far. So played it.
Don't starve, man. Don't starve.
Yeah.
All right. Anything? I hope you guys caught that reference. All right, Steve, what are you playing this week, man?
I got back on Destiny for a little bit. I've been playing enough of the Crucible. For all of us, actually. You guys are well represented there. I am a 299 light level, and that does not keep me from being at the top of the list on any given Iron Banner map. So that's about 100 light levels behind some of the other folks.
Get him, Steve.
Yeah, it's been fun. And I got on Star Wars Battlefront a little bit. That game's still fun. There's some updates that have happened. Again, that Death Star mode is still entertaining, and they're talking or teasing the idea of releasing more heroes before the new DLC. So we'll see kind of what happens with that. I got into World of Warships. This was.
I think we were going to say World of Warcraft for a minute.
I am not averse to that, but no, I'm already done with World of Warcraft. World of Warships is like a World of Tanks variant, and some guys at work were like, "Hey, you should check this out." And I played for a little bit. It's kind of fun.
Do you yell out, "You sunk my battleship" every time?
You know what was surprising? The amount of people role playing on it. Like everybody's got a naval name, and I'm no exception. I'm Polywog, but everybody's like saying "I" in the chat and like. Like it was weird, but
a bunch of wannabe squids.
It's a fun community, but yeah, whatever. It's entertaining enough. It's kind of interesting, and for anybody who's kind of into the history of those ships, it's all World War II era stuff. There's something to be offered there. They try and be historically accurate. There are a lot of YouTubers that will give you the history of each ship, and I was just like looking for basic strategy tips. That's almost impossible to find. It's 20 minutes based on that class of ship and its significance during the war. So it's kind of like a spillover for anybody who's finding a hobby in looking up World War II history. It kind of bleeds over into the game. That said, I didn't look at any of that. I just played the game. It was okay. And I played some more Civ 5 in anticipation of Civilization 6.
When does that come out?
28.
October. Yeah.
I think it's the 21st, actually.
23rd?
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty damn soon.
I could never get into those games, dude. I
played a
couldn't
little bit of
do it.
4. That was about it.
Well, and they're on Vita too, right? At least one of them is.
Yeah, I
That
think
was like Civ Rev.
Probably
The
Revolution.
massively dumbed down version. Yeah.
Is it really?
The
That's
one that
disappointing.
was on smartphones.
I still need to pick up Dragon Quest Builders. I was hoping somebody had played that, so I could get some of them impressions, but nobody has. All right, anything else, man?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I'll talk about what I've been playing real quick, and then we'll head over to JT, who I know is just like fucking about to explode in his chair over there, wanting to talk about all that shit he's had going on this week. It's been a big week for him. So this week I've been playing Rise of the Tomb Raider. I picked up the 20th anniversary collection, or not collection but edition, on PS4, and I'm really enjoying it. Right off the bat, I don't feel like it's as good as Uncharted 4, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I like these kind of games better when they're not massive open world collectathons. Having said that, I think Rise of the Tomb Raider is better so far in every way than the original game, and I love the original game. I'm not taking anything away from Rise of the Tomb Raider. So far, I love it. It's a beautiful game, gorgeous game. The issue that I'm having with Rise of the Tomb Raider, and we had talked about this on the podcast early in the year, is that on PS4 anyway, it's now existing in a post-Uncharted 4 world. And so, I mean, I think Uncharted 4 is the better game, so it does kind of taint my perspective of Rise of the Tomb Raider just a little bit. But having said that,
$20.
what was that?
I'll buy it for $20.
I mean, it's worth 60, dude. Like, and honestly, from what I've heard about Mafia 3, it's far more worth your money and time than Mafia 3 is.
I'll buy
That's not
Mafia.
competition though.
Yeah, no, Mafia.
Yeah. Oh, dude, those fucking the gifs of those glitches, man. Holy shit! The fucking
Bring your mic back.
You don't take those too seriously because like they're just cherry picked little things. But like overall,
I know, man, but I just
in general doesn't. I mean, seems the biggest complaints people say it's repetitive as fuck. Like all the missions are the same.
Yeah. That's what I hear.
That's what
There
I
was
hear.
one of the biggest complaints I heard about Mafia 3 was the fact that there's this big open world, and I had talked about this on Basement Radio, but I think the biggest issue that people are having with Mafia 3 is the fact that in a big open world you need compelling characters, you need compelling things to do, you need a world that sucks you in, you need the world to feel alive, like it's worth spending your time in it. That's why The Witcher 3 was so successful. That's why Skyrim was so great. That's why people love Grand Theft Auto 5, because you couldn't walk you could walk a block down the street in Liberty City, for example, and not come across something to do. And in Skyrim, at any point, a fucking dragon can come out of the sky, or Mike the liar could walk up, or you find an NPC you want to running out of nowhere, right? But apparently in Mafia 3, there's no fast travel. And the world is huge. There's no fast travel, so it forces you to go
Reminds
from
me of
point A to point B.
L.A. Noir. like where it didn't need to be open world, but it just kind of is, just for the sake.
Yeah, it's a great comparison, dude. That is a great comparison, and I really enjoyed LA Noire. Like I thought it was great for what it was, but I remember thinking to myself, I was like, why is this open world? There's fucking nothing to do. Like there is nothing to do outside of the story. And that's not the case for Mafia 3, but apparently all the side activity shit isn't all that compelling.
Yeah,
but
I think Mafia 2 had the same problem, didn't it? I remember people talking about.
I never played it, dude.
I don't think I don't know if it's a problem. It's like it's an intentional design choice, so it's going to be up to your preference.
Yeah, because I remember people saying it felt like a linear game in just kind of shoved in an open world for another, bullet point on the box.
Yeah, it's not doing too well.
It is striving for some sort of authenticity to the world. I mean, because it's still doing the same thing that Mafia 1 did, where it's like you have to obey all the traffic laws and blah blah blah. It's they're going for something, and the open world is part of that. But like, if you're looking for, it's not a sandbox.
Yeah.
Is like I think the differentiator. Not every open world game is a sandbox.
And I feel like every world, I think like almost every game, is becoming a fucking sandbox. Unfortunately,
I love sandbox games. Like that's why I love GTA. Like you can like put you could put the systems against each other and just watch crazy shit happen. But not all open world games are like that.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Mafia 3 does in sales, simply because it's a crowded time. Hold on, somebody here in an echo. Yeah, it's a crowded time of year, and I'm not sure I know for me anyway, there's no time. I don't have the money or the time for Mafia 3. There's so many other games coming out that I don't want to play. But yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider is great. So far, I love it. And I'll probably try to 100% that game just because I'm a fucking completionist.
That's cool. How do the trophies? Are they not too bullshit?
They're not too bad. I mean, obviously, you're gonna need to play through the game twice to get the trophies. There was the platinum of the game is perfectly obtainable, and I do that too, right? Like before I play every game, I'm guilty of it. I look at the trophy list. I'm like, are these trophies worth my time? And that's not what you should do, but I do it.
The one thing that usually stops me from getting a platinum is having to play a game twice, especially if it's open world.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Like one of the only open world. I think I've got like 12 platinums, and the only one of those that's open world is Infamous Second Son, and that was an easy fucking platinum.
I have plenty. I got for Far Cry 4, Far Cry Primal.
That was impressive.
I got Dying Light, which was not easy.
That's a rough one.
Yeah,
that's a rough platinum, man. I love Dying Light.
I did it in 3 days too.
Oh, it's a co-op
Jesus,
trophy,
dude.
Yeah, I did it 3 days after the game came out, and one of the trophies was glitched, so I'd wait for them to patch it.
Yeah, JT makes a really good point. The co-op trophies, I fucking hate. I hate multiplayer trophies. I hate it. That's what I hate. It's one of the things I hated about The Last of Us.
The only reason they do it is just to give people like a bullshit reason to try out the mode nobody else wants to play.
Dude, as amazing as The Last of Us was, it is one of the greatest games of all time. But the trophies of that game were fucking bullshit. They were terrible, terrible trophies. But yeah, dude, they were awful. But yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider's trophies are perfectly obtainable. The game is fun. It looks great. And hopefully, the game can generate more sales, and we'll get yet another sequel. Because I feel like the game is a massive improvement on the first one. Now I'm only like maybe 10, 15 hours in, but at any rate. And one more thing, I've got a review actually going up live on the website, superdeformedgamescast.com, after the show for Darkest Dungeon. And that's based on my time with the PC and the PS4 version. I finished the PC version about a year ago, and I'm maybe 35, 40 hours into the PS4 version. So I feel like I can give a pretty accurate review. So yeah, look for that on the website tonight. Okay, JT, let's hear it, man. What do you want to talk about first? Shadow Warrior 2 or PSVR?
Well, speaking of the website, just like to pimp that out a little bit. We've been contributing to that a little bit more frequently lately, and so I'd like to welcome anybody who hasn't gone there and checked that out yet to definitely do so, because we're starting to put out a little bit more content on that. And I just had my Shadow Warrior 2 impressions go up last night. I tried to put it up at midnight, and then I forgot that midnight my time is not midnight embargo time, which would be East Coast. So I think it went up at like 12:30 or whatever. But so I put my impressions up there. So I've been playing a little bit of that. Got our press code for that earlier this week, and
Hell yeah!
To put it shortly,
Hey JT, real quick, who got the press code, man?
Who got it?
Who got the code? Who's responsible for that? Give yourself some credit, man. Give yourself some credit. There you go.
It doesn't matter. We got one.
I'm just saying, man. You got our first review code, so there you go.
Well, yeah, it's super cool that we have the status to do that now. But yeah, so I gave my impressions. Go check it out on the website, and I recorded about 2.5 hours, maybe a little bit more of the gameplay. So if you're curious at all, it's not the best quality. You could probably find better streams out there, but you can't listen to me talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So go check that out. It's on our YouTube, so right here. But to put it succinctly, the game is a mix between Doom and Borderlands 2. There's everything from the Shadow Warrior 1, like the gunplay, the humor, everything, except for there's like loot now. So you can get like different rarity guns and stuff.
Oh, this is a shoot and loot?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like procedurally generated, isn't it?
No shit.
That is not a big, like one of the bigger points for me. It doesn't really feel like it. I mean, sure, but it's only for the free roam areas. You open up your map and you have these areas that you've already defeated, and so like it'll retain like the same look, but the map will be a little bit different. So it's not like a huge bullet point. I assume all the story missions the first time going through them are going to be all the same. Yeah. So that's not the focus. Focus is on like the combat. It's like super fast, in your face. You're zipping around with your dash. You got your katanas. You slash people too. It's super gory. You can gib enemies. Like, I mean, it makes Gears of War look like daddy daycare. It's just the game is just so satisfying to play. It's really fun. So
does it run well?
It runs very well. I don't have the greatest of rigs, but I was able to put most settings on ultra and keep 60 frames. So it ran really well. I was really impressed. It kind of surprised me. So yeah, I was happy about that.
The first game didn't run very well when it first came out. They released like a major engine overhaul that like vastly improved performance. Like I think 6 months after launch, but
yeah, like
it still runs pretty terrible on PS4 now.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I never had a problem with Shadow Warrior 1 on PS4, like as frame rate wise. But dude, like whenever you went to the menus, I was like, holy shit! Oh, what's going on? Like, dude,
like the performance or like the sluggishness of it.
I'm talking about just like the menu. Like everything was pretty smooth for me on PS4. But then like when you went to the menus, it was like. It was like watching a cutscene in Black Ops 3 after playing through the campaign.
Yeah.
And I never fucking understood it. I didn't understand it for Black Ops 3, and I don't understand it for Shadow Warrior. I'm like, how do you get this thing run at 60 frames a second, and you can't get the fucking menus to run at anything faster than 5?
Actually, it's funny because Overwatch is the same way on PS4. Like, you'll get 60 FPS in-game, and then the menus are all 30.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier. It's like I had to press the D-pad down a couple of times because you press the start and you expect to like boop 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 three options down and you're right there where you want to go, but it like was kind of jerky. It didn't go right there. So it's like, this is strange. It's still kind of laggy even after they released the new patch that was supposed to fix some stability stuff.
Yeah,
but. Speaking of Shadow Warrior 1, speaking of Shadow Warrior 1, we do have a code to give out for that.
So we got a few codes to give out tonight.
We got a few codes. All right, cool. So I don't know how you want to do that, but yeah,
we'll figure it. We'll figure something out in the show. We've got a Shadow Warrior 1 code. We've also got at least one, and maybe more coming. At least one Call of Duty beta code. So we're gonna give that away as well by the end of the show. So
cool. So what everybody's waiting for, PSVR.
Oh shit!
You gotta put it on first. Someone in the chat wanted you to put it on.
I know. I don't have it with me.
You have to do the rest of the episode on PSVR.
You have to put it on now.
It's in the living room.
It'll look so good with the white headphones. Come on.
Yeah, dude, go get it. Go get that shit. We'll wait.
I'll get it later after.
Oh damn it! All right, fine. I just want to point out, Multiverse Mob in chat is actually watching this podcast on PSVR right now.
Nice.
I'm so sorry.
We're like there. That's fucking.
Everybody, take your shirts off. Take your pants off. Stand up.
No.
All right, let's hear it, man. What do you think about PSVR?
I'm surprised because I went to I'm sure. How many of you went to go try it in like Best Buy or GameStop? I know John did, right?
I have never played VR in my life.
I did, yeah. I played it at a GameStop.
Steve, did you? I didn't hear you.
I did not. No.
No, you didn't. Okay, so I tried it out a couple times, and I was just like, okay, this is a thing, kind of deal. But I was still optimistic about it. I was still very curious about it. That's why I bought one. And so I showed up, and one of the biggest things I had a problem with was like the blurriness and the comfortability factor. Not in the fact that it feels bad on your face because it's so comfortable. I played the Oculus 2 at Best Buy, and the PSVR is by far more comfortable to sit on your face.
So never mind.
But I mean,
Go
it
on.
is.
Sit on my face.
However,
Steve, you can't Steve, but he said they're like, please continue.
Yeah, now you've got my attention.
yeah, there you go. However, in some cases, I know it's true for me and my girlfriend, we have like small cheekbones or whatever, so you can see down it's like light bleeding, but it's like you can see there's a space in between where this headset sits and your cheek, so you can kind of like, if you look down, you can see whatever's sitting on your lap or whatever. And that's a problem, with like getting immersed in if you can still see your surroundings, like that's not good. So what I did was I took the device, which I didn't have the time or, smarts to do whenever I was in the store. It's just super rush, there's a line. So you kind of want to like get in, get out kind of deal. You don't want to, I didn't have time to play around with it. So I moved the back of it a little bit further up on the back of my head so that it would sit more flush on my face, because it's like angled outwards sort of, because it doesn't want to like be super up in people's, and they got to tailor this thing for the masses too. There's going to be all types of people playing this, all different, body sizes
People with
and
their
face
big fat
sizes.
fucking heads.
Right. I mean, like, you got to accommodate for everybody, and I get that.
Like Boogie.
So I made it work for me, and it felt a lot better. I mean, like, you still got the blurriness a little bit, but once you're actually in the game, not a lot of that matters. Once you're like flying around in Eve Valkyrie, for instance, you're not going to think about the blurry explosion off in the distance or whatever. It's just like you're focused on what's happening in front of you and being immersed in the experience. So that was only like negatives. And I mean, stuff like what you're going to get in any VR experience, like if you're sitting on a black screen, yeah, you can see the screen door effect in front of you. You can
So what
see
games did you play?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I'll get into that. So the first game that I played, some of you may know, but can you guess what game was the first thing?
Could be Res or Rigs, right?
Resurregs.
Wrong.
Res or Rigs. It's got to be Res or Rigs.
This is
Was it
Rocket
Resurregs?
League.
No, I didn't even
Yeah,
play.
I played Rocket League in cinematic mode,
Oh
baby.
my god.
Are you serious? Are you
What's cinematic mode? I don't know.
Cinematic mode. It's like
It's like you could just see like a screen in front of you.
well, kind of, yeah. It's like viewing a virtual wall. So imagine like a TV out in the middle of space, and you can like move all around and see that 2D plane in 3D space. So like there's a image right here, and I can like go up to it super fast, like you can do with your PC monitor if you wanted to like get right up close to it. So you can play, as far as I know, every PS4 game in cinematic mode. However,
Why would you want to do that though?
you wouldn't really want to do that because I got pretty sick pretty fast because the frame rate is awful.
Yep.
Whenever you're viewing it on that screen, and it's kind of not too good for your mental gyroscope.
That's gonna be a problem going forward, I think.
Yeah. So I just wanted to try it out. I was like, let's do Rocket League. Let's see how it's 2D game.
Figured you would. Yeah.
So
coming.
the next
Let's talk about PSVR games. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the next one I booted up, I did the demo disc, which it comes with like just a massive crap ton of games to try. The full list, I think there's like 12 or like 13 of them. It's pretty crazy. So the first one I did was Res, and I was initially just floored by this. It starts you out in like the first level that we all played on the Dreamcast release, and I like noticed myself like bumping along to the beat as I was like looking around and getting all the orbs or whatever you're supposed to call them.
I could hear Brandon breathing heavy.
So how it works?
How do you target enemies?
Yeah. How it works is there's like a reticle on your screen centered in the middle, and you move around, and that reticle stays at the same spot, like in the center of if there was like a dot right on your forehead, and you like hold down X on the controller to like go into select mode, like dragging along. And so you just do that and move your head. So you hold down on your controller and you like da-da-da, and then they like all explode. Da-da-da, they all explode. The cool thing about Res VR is you get to look in all directions. So there's a video that I posted on my Twitter. Yeah, on my Twitter. It was on Twitch. And it was the guy running, and that you have to like get all of his blocks or whatever. And you like hold down X and you like look behind you and you like go up and he like runs over you, and you like all along you're like just getting him and like blowing him up. And
that's like the best boss.
Yeah. I mean, it feels so intuitive. It feels like this was the intended experience. Right off, it finally found a home in PSVR, which it was so cool.
I mean, Res was already a 10 out of 10 in 2D.
Yeah, if you liked Res before, you won't believe this. If you didn't like Res before, or you didn't know what Res was before, I think this could be the thing to get you into Res, because it's just that cool. And the music and the effects going on, it's just a great experience.
E of the Dead in chat says, fully expect this Gamecast to go VR in the coming months. What if it's already VR and you just don't know it yet? Think about that.
So on the theme of, I'm going to talk a long time here about.
No, please, no, dude, this is good. I want to hear this.
Okay, cool. So I had no idea what Thumper was until like a couple days ago. So I kept the theme. There's a demo of Thumper on the PSVR demo disc. So I was like, let's just do another rhythm game. And Thumper blew me away even more than Res did. It was super, like the effects coming at you and at your face. Like, I don't know how much you've seen of Thumper, but there's like these super.
I've played Thumper.
Tentacly things coming out of like where you're driving to.
I know next to nothing about this game, by the way.
Well, you better fucking figure it out.
My bad, motherfucker.
It's like a rhythm game. You're on a track, and you like hit the X button like with the beat and stuff, and you when you go around turns, you tap left or right and hold down X to go around, and like
you gotta keep up with the beat. And there's tentacles, so it's basically like techno Lovecraft is what you're telling me, right? Like that's what's going on.
I mean, like the effects are the number one thing in Thumper.
I don't even know how to explain Thumper. It was the game where I watched videos of and didn't know anything about it until I played it.
Techno Lovecraft. Let's just roll with that.
Okay.
Techno Lovecraft.
So I tried Thumper. I thought it was super cool, but I got kind of bored with it because rhythm games really aren't my thing, except for Res. So the next one I tried was Drive Club. And I wanted to try out the demo real quick before buying it. I didn't buy any of these releases except for Eve Valkyrie because there was a price error on it. I wanted to try out Drive Club because some people were saying that it was making them sick. So I wanted to just test it out. I booted up Drive Club and immediately fell in love because one of the first cars you can drive is a BAC Mono, which is my favorite car from Drive Club, or normal Drive Club. And you get in that thing, and it's just like being dropped. I mean, like the visuals are downgraded, sure, but you get in the car, you're sitting there. It made me want to buy a wheel. It felt so good. Like you just sit there, drive. Like you use your mirrors. You felt like you were driving a real car, just like a lot faster. You use your mirrors, and your wheel was intuitive, exactly how you would expect. And you're just looking around. I noticed myself looking into the turns and then like coming back out and looking into the turns. It became so natural to me. I went back and looked at the gameplay footage later that I was recording on Twitch at the time, and I was like, wow, like that makes a huge difference. If I'm in a driving game now that doesn't have this, or like doesn't have the head turning baked into like the cornering mechanism, that's gonna like make me wish I was playing Drive Club VR, because it's just that it makes it that much better of a driving experience. And so after playing the demo a couple times, I went to the store and I bought Drive Club VR just
Dude,
because.
you're making me want to get a fucking PSVR right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is not doing good things for my potential spending habits.
Your mic's kind of.
Does it
Yeah.
use motion controls for the steering?
I did not try that, so I don't know if you can or not. I'd have to look that up, but I just use the normal.
Does it feel
DualShock.
like original Drive Club or?
Feels just like original Drive Club. Yeah, I was kind of amazed. I was expecting like a subpar experience, kind of, just because of the they had to make cutbacks somewhere, and most of the cutbacks were on the visuals. Like you still I think it's pretty cool. Like you can see plastic flags floating by as you go, and like there's the confetti still going on. And I took I like almost crashed because I was like, oh wow, there's some birds flying by, and then like the turn comes up, and if I didn't have brake assist on, I would have like crashed. It was just like, oh cool.
Okay, we gotta-
Fatal Futanari would like to know if you played Summer Lesson.
Summer. No, I did not.
No, it's okay. You can admit it.
We've actually, come on, man, just say it.
Well, we can't. We don't even have that option here in North America. They didn't.
Actually, you may have answered this, but Enrique had a question for you. He wants to know if you may have answered this. I think you did, but we'll ask anyway. Did you get sick playing Drive Club VR?
Did I get sick playing Drive Club VR? I did
Yeah,
not. I thought it was awesome. However, my girlfriend tried it out. She came home for lunch and she tried it out because I was like all giddy about it at that time. And she's like, "Oh wow, this is so cool!" And as soon as she took the headset off, it made her sick. So she didn't.
Yeah, well, you know what? She just did Xbot.
Yo, damn, dude, your mic is fucked
Yeah,
up.
you're like Robo John right now.
Is that better at all?
No.
No.
God, this fucking mic, dude. I'm telling you, I don't know what's happening. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, so she took the headset off and she like felt sick to her stomach. It made her have a headache. So she was super psyched about VR too. So I was like, crap. I hate that she had a negative experience like that. But
have you had any side effects?
I had to stop playing after like an hour or so, just because like I felt like I was getting fatigue, not any adverse side effects. I was just like, I need to like go look at not a screen, an inch from my face for a little bit. But as soon as like, I went to go get lunch or whatever, and I felt I was like, I want to get back in. I want to do more Drive Club. Like the demo disc is huge. You could spend an entire day on the content on that. But it was, everybody's going to be different. Somebody probably, will jump in and have a completely different experience than I did. They may hate PSVR, but I'm glad that, even with my like chronic migraine conditions, I'm able to get in and enjoy it and don't have motion sickness for the most part. Like I was going really, really fast at one point in Valkyrie and did like a barrel roll. And I was like, whoa, holy crap. I had to because you can like slide the headset away from your face without taking it off. So there's like a button underneath that you can do that. And you can look down and check your phone or something, which I think is super cool. You don't have to take the headset completely off. It's really handy. But I had to whoa, all right, I got to look at something normal here for a second. And then I slid it back on, just because it was whoa, that was disorienting. But as time goes on, I imagine people would get more acquainted to VR and being in a virtual space and knowing that and tricking their brain to realize that they're not actually going to fall out of the spaceship or whatever.
Yeah. Now, what exactly is Valkyrie? Because that's the one I'm interested in most.
Real quick, guys, do I sound any better?
Nope.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna drop and come back in. Okay.
That's cool. So Valkyrie is kind of just like a space dogfighting game. I was kind of curious on I played the demo at Best Buy, and it was kind of a crappy demo. It was just you do the launch sequence and then you fly around a little bit and then shoot some stuff. But it's more of a dogfighter, arena fighter. It's it's set exclusively in space. I wanted to say Rogue Squadron, but then that would set people's expectations way high. But I mean, that's essentially what it is. Like cockpit view, you got two weapons, R2 and L2, missiles and machine gun, and it's really cool. I felt like it became second nature, like Drive Club did, where I'm looking at this guy, I'm chasing this guy down, he's flying through space and we bobbing and weaving and stuff, and then he takes off up over me. And so like before my hands can react to that, because normally like you only have two fingers to do two different things, like you can't move and look at the same time, or you can't like aim and look at the same time. This, you can like look up, like the guy starts to like fly up. Your first reaction is like, okay, I'm going to track him with my head, and then I'm going to catch up with my spaceship. And it starts to feel like second nature after a while. And that's the point that I thought it was really cool.
I'm sorry, JT, is that any better?
Yeah,
it is.
Okay, cool.
World's
Thanks,
better.
guys. Sorry about that.
In terms of like modes, though, does it have like single player, arena? Is it just arena stuff, or is there
I was trying to figure that out too. It said matchmaking, but I think it was like co-op, and then I only tried it this was the only full game I had at the time, so I tried it for about like 30 minutes. There's a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of unlocks. You can get like new ships and stuff. There's skins and upgrades and boosters and whatnot. So like every match that you do, I got like 3 things my first match, and I was like, okay, what does this do? Bye. And then like it's kind of deep, but at the same time, and you're like doing the same thing, like you're flying through space and you're shooting stuff. So I don't know if that is going to last very long. I know I definitely wanted to move on and try new things, just because it was one of the first games that I played, and I was like, oh, I got to get to Until Dawn, I got to get to like rigs, I got to do all these other demos. But I definitely plan on revisiting it, but I just don't know how long the replay value will be after the initial like, holy crap, I can like look around at all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
So
okay,
yeah.
So that was E Valkyrie. I missed like half of that. So that was like E Valkyrie you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the big pull of E Valkyrie is like I can like track enemies, like so it becomes second nature. Like you're chasing this guy down and he like veers off to the right or something. Your first reaction, because your hands don't react that fast, is to track him with your head. So you're like kind of like zooming, and like then your hands catch up. Then you're like you can like push the sticks over, and then like your ship catches back up, and it all feels really, really natural. It's really, really cool.
What about
Are there any?
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Are there any controls that they force you to use, like nods or blinks or any of that stuff that you saw in like wearable hardware, like Google Glass and that kind of thing? Are they tracking your eyes when you're playing?
I don't. Well, not your eyes, but like basic movements. So like some of the menus, and in Eve Valkyrie, for example, some of the menus are you have to like look exactly at what option. So like your hangars here, and your multiplayer options are here. Your control settings are here. So like if I wanted to go to that, I would like look there and like focus on it, and then press the X button. That like prompt comes up.
Okay.
So not really any like gestures or anything like that, but you have to like point to where you're wanting to go, and then like press a button to confirm. So just a couple more games, and then I'll stop talking.
Your neck is going to be jacked by the end of the week.
I know, right? Yeah, you're gonna come back. You're gonna come back next week. You're gonna be looking like fucking Goldberg from WCW, dude. I don't even watch wrestling. I know who that is, but you're gonna be fucking. Your neck's gonna be all like veiny and shit from fucking.
Yeah, I had to tell my girlfriend. I was like, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna go live in the VR world. I'm still gonna be here. So don't worry."
So what about Rigs? Have you played Rigs?
Yeah, I played that, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Rigs has always been my number one VR game that I wanted to try, because it just looks awesome. It kind of looks like a first-person Rocket League, which I've always thought is like a great idea for a game. Why not do it in VR? Cool. So I booted up the demo that's included on the disc, and aside from it's disappointing that you only get like 3 minutes of actual gameplay in a match, because you only get to play a half So I guess it's like any sporting event where you have like a half of like switching sides or whatever, or like Overwatch, the teams switch sides and one person attacks, one person defends. You only get like 3 minutes. It felt like 3 minutes. It may have been less or more. I don't know. But with my limited experience, I played 2 matches. It was super disappointing for me. And I want to give it another try, but it's just frustrating because like the demo, you play the demo and then it like goes back to the demo menu of the main screen, not the game, but like the screen where you select from all the demos. So it's really, I wanted to play more games and stuff, so I was like, okay, I'll come back to this. But it's really frustrating that I like wasn't able to try out it more than I did. But initial impressions of that game are just like it felt weird. The movement was hard to separate. Call of Duty movement, your standard like left stick moves your feet and right stick moves your aim, that kind of deal, with actually moving your head to aim. And there's 2 different options. There's like a beginner mode and an expert mode. And the beginner mode has that same setup. So it's like left stick is to move, right stick is to like move your aim around, but then like your like VR headset is to actually move your guns. And so if you were to like move your head without being on the stick, or if without your hands being on the right stick, like if you're just moving around with the left stick, you wouldn't like go anywhere else. Like you would stay.
I gotta cut it real quick. I feel like if there's any game that's gonna make you vomit in your lap, this has got to be it, right?
Yeah, it's frustrating because like there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a more fluid way to do this. But expert mode wasn't much better because like that's the one that ties all movement to the VR headset. So it's like if I move my head this way, my screen will rotate this way, and you don't use the right stick at all. So I thought that would be better, but it just ends up being like overcorrecting and like trying to aim where you want and like getting frustrated because your aim is tied directly to your head. And so there's no like aiming down sights to like make the sensitivity lessened so you can aim better. It's just like all loosey-goosey, and like sometimes I'll like, oh, I want to aim at this guy on the edge of the screen. Well, I just rotated my view, so I can't aim at him anymore, and now I'm facing like the total opposite direction. Other than that, yeah, it's super disappointing. And other than that, that was the one game I would think I didn't spend as much time with it as I could, and I didn't go and spin around and do very fast things, but like I could see that becoming a problem for many people. Sounds like Donald Trump there. Many people.
It's gonna
I guess
PSVR is gonna be huge.
But yeah, I mean, I can totally see that inducing some pretty good motion sickness for some people, definitely. So Riggs was very disappointing. Yeah, just control wise, and that's something I had a lot of faith in them. It was Gorilla Cambridge. I had a lot of faith in them that they were going to put out a pretty good product. It's one of the more premium priced games, so I was like really excited about it. But yeah,
so like
kind of disappointed.
Does PSVR, like in your opinion, dude, does it have like a killer app? I mean, is there that one game where you like?
Hands down.
What's that?
It's a Drive Club for me, hands down.
Really?
Yeah, the driving just felt so good and so natural that I just wanted to play that. But I was more excited to get to the other games, the other demos and stuff. I still haven't completed them all, but I know that after I get done with all the the fluffy stuff that I'll probably never come back to, I know I'm gonna definitely go back to Drive Club, and because there's like a full tour mode in that game, like the original game. There's like 162 different events or like checkboxes to check off the tour list or whatever. So definitely go Drive Club.
Raymond Ward has a question in chat. He says, "Can you do Southpaw on Riggs?"
Southpaw. The demo, I didn't delve too far into the demo options other than like it's a super casualized. Are you new to this experience? Or are you an expert? and then they don't explain it at all. So like you kind of had to figure it out. So I don't know if you'd probably have to go read a review from somebody else to see if there are more options in the full game, but I did not see any options to change whatsoever. Yeah.
Anything else? Like game wise, I'm talking.
Game-wise?
Like, I don't know what you brought home, so
I played. So tracking is another thing that people have talked about a lot.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, talk about that.
And I've found that it varies from game to game. It seems to be more of a software thing to me. Like, I don't know if that's true or not. That's just how it kind of seems to me based upon my gaming experiences that I've had. Just purely objectively, not knowing anything else about if it is actually hardware or software. Because in some games, it tracked my controller way better. Like you can like look down a lot of times at your physical controller, or not physical, but your virtual controller, and you can spin it around and like look at it. If you press a button or whatever, like it'll glow in the virtual controller, and like hold down the trigger halfway, and like, oh wow, that's cool. But in some games, like if you rotate it around where the light bar is not visible, the controller disappears, and it's just like super like, and then you bring it back and it like jumps around and it's super wonky. But in like Playroom VR and VR worlds and stuff, the tracking was excellent. Like you would rotate it around, like I would totally cover the light bar on the front, and it would still like track it because I guess it had like the gyro and then like the location memorized. So like I could still spin it around and stuff. So it just seems to vary on how developers are like utilizing the technology, I would say. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's an informed opinion, but that just seems from my observations. So I played Playroom VR, and those are just, those are going to be your, like, they felt like kind of like Knack, your kids games, and they don't last very long. Just something, like, you're not supposed to give it to your kids, 12 and under, whatever, but there's going to be kids playing this game. So those are your stereotypical kids games where it's like a top-down view, or not top-down, kind of like a little bit more horizontal looking, but the camera is still fixed than your standard isometric game. So you like can look around and like see where you want to put your character. I didn't spend a whole lot of time with it. It looked good, and then the functionality was good. You can like shoot a grappling hook out of your controller, and like your character can like jump on it and using it as like a balance beam or whatever. So that was all right. And then VR Worlds, I didn't try one of those. I just set on the main menu because something popped up. I don't know what it is, but like there's this glowing ball, and I spent like 10 minutes with that, just like because it interacts with your controller. So there's like the London Heist and all the different games within PSVR World or whatever. It was I can't think of any of the names. It's the one with like the shark demo, the deepest.
Oh right, yeah. You're in the shark cage, and the shark is coming at you.
So that and London Heist, and there's like 3 or 4 other games, and there's this like glowing orb, and you can like push it around or whatever. And then one's called like Ultra Ball, and you're like in this like Coliseum type thing, or like a library looking thing. And so this Ultra Ball is like glowing and like emitting this like aura, and like begging you to like slap the shit out of it. So like I did. I like took my controller, and like, cause like with the other ones, like one was like spinning, and so like it created sparks when you put your thing on there. Like you could like do that, it would come right back. But the Ultra Ball, like I took my controller and I like went like that, and the ball like took off and like bounced off this thing, and I was like tracking it, like going along and like going crazy. And so like that, it sounds stupid, but that was just like so much fun to just like hit something in virtual space and it react exactly how you would think it would. It was kind of cool, but I didn't actually get into those games. But the last game I played, I think, was Until Dawn: Rush of Blood, and I'm not a good scary game player at all.
But it's not scary though, right?
Well, it's like creepy, and it definitely has some jump scares. Yeah, it's weird, right? Because like I can watch a scary movie and be totally unfazed by it. Like there can be jump scares and stuff, and everybody else in the room's like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Yeah, that was coming, sure." But if you put me in an interactive experience, like with a game, I'm just like, I'm expecting the jump scares, but it still freaks me the fuck out. So like in Rush of Blood, you're in this like cart. It's like a rail shooter, right? So you're like going slowly. Well, it still keeps the same thing. You have the what's his face, the psychologist or whatever.
Oh yeah, he's been in every fucking movie ever. Yeah,
Peter Stormare.
Peter Stormare. There you go. Yeah.
So he's still in it, and like he like sets the tone and stuff. It's like a nightmare within your subconscious thoughts or whatever. And I remind you that this may not be real, or he goes through his whole spiel. But the entire time you're like going down the starting sequence is like there's like creepy shit going on over here, scary shit going on, and then like jump scare, and then you're like holy shit, and then they like kind of retreat back, and there's like people walking backwards, and so like it lends itself well to the horror format because it's like always something coming at you, like jump scare in your face here, and then jump scare in your face here. It's like boom, 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 one right after another, and like I was kind of freaking out. It's like at one point in the demo, like you go through this pig factory with all these like enlarged pigs, and they all start just squealing and screaming at you, and there's saw blades that you have to like dodge like in real time, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, get me out of here.
That sounds like my first marriage in VR. Terrible. Awful.
But I mean, it was effective though, right? Like it was cool to be interacting with a form of entertainment that made me feel scared in a different way than a movie. So, I mean, I think VR is going to do well for the horror genre, especially, just because you can get that reaction of like a jump scare, something coming from over here where you can't see. You know what I'm saying? Like with your standard game, it's just like you have to turn your camera physically with the joystick to look at that jump scare, or like it has to like come into your screen. With PSVR or any VR, really, like the horror is going to happen, and it's just like a matter of you reacting to it over here, and then like looking back the other way, and something surprises you right there. It's different than any other horror genre out there.
All right, I want to ask a couple questions, and I want to open it up to the rest of the panel to ask you a few. And I've got one question. Like I'll start it off. I got one question. When you're playing shit like London Heist, for example, or Until Dawn, Rush of Blood, I've seen gameplay videos. Obviously, I haven't played it myself, but you've got like these disembodied fucking hands, right, that aren't connected to anything.
Yeah. Well,
like disconcerting at all. Like when you're playing it, are you like, I know I have an arm. I've got like this phantom arm, and I can't see it, and it's flipping me out. And I've got this. It's like you're controlling two gloves, and I feel like that would be. For me, I feel like that would completely break the immersion. What do you feel about that?
I don't think it breaks the immersion. I think it's actually very immersive because even with I didn't use the Move controllers. For whatever reason, I was just feeling lazy. I just wanted to use the controller. So in Rush of Blood, you have two hands, and whenever you use the Move controllers, I assume that you can aim independently. Whenever you use the controller, it uses not the sticks to aim, but the gyroscope of the DualShock. So you actually like physically aim along. It's the thing I was talking about before. Like you look before you move your thing there. It's like all a fluid motion. It's like real life, more of like Battlefield or any first person shooter where your right stick moves your gun and your view at the same time. It's your standard. You're looking straight forward wherever you go. And so it feels very natural in that sense. Even using the controller, it was very cool. Like I was actually aiming and shooting. So yeah, I mean, I took the controller.
Easy though.
What? What'd you say?
Wouldn't that make you like kind of queasy though? Like if you're controlling your line of sight via the thumbsticks, and you can still look around and do that, like wouldn't that make you want to just vomit?
I mean, it may affect people differently than it affected me. I thought it was super cool that I could do things independently of my hands. Like I can look over here. Like for Arma, there is a very dedicated scene in Arma where you can like be reloading and like use track IR on PC to like look around and do other things, and like look over your shoulder to like see what your squad mates are doing. And so I've always thought that having independent camera movement. I can hear myself, so that's why I'm like.
I can hear. It's weird. I can hear an echo now too.
Yeah, that
I can hear myself. It's weird.
Through almost the entire podcast. But like, I think it's super cool to have independent camera movement from aim, and so PSVR is just an extension of that. I didn't play London Heist, but I'll break out the Moose controllers either today or tomorrow to see that. But like, yeah, I mean, any type of aiming, because like even with the DualShock, like I was able to like bring it up and like get within eyesight of, because like clowns come after you and like they're like in your face. I like
wait, what?
Front my yeah. And
dude, clowns in VR, fuck that noise, dude. I'm out.
Dude, no. I'm telling you, like it's fucking creepy as shit, dude. Like until dawn, like the clowns rush at you like all like five at a time. And like I held up my thing and I was like actually aiming at them. So like it's kind of cool to like be aiming instead of.
I missed that. Were you holding it like that? Were you just holding your hand like that?
Yeah, it was like
fucking
that. I mean, you do that. Like you bring it up, you can like see your hands, and like I like at one point I like broke my character's wrists because like I turned the thing and like set the DualShock upside down. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I bet your wrist hurts, buddy. Like, I mean, it does that just so, you know, it gives you any option. You can shoot behind you if you want. Sure. But I just think it's super cool, the fact that you can actually aim where you want to shoot at. Yeah. I don't think it's a negative.
Anybody on the panel here got a question for JT about some of that sweet PSVR action? I know somebody does. Come on.
Well, the hands thing you were talking about, John, I think I remember reading, I think it was when Crytek put out the Climb or whatever it's called, that little rock climbing one. They said they tried it putting arms on hands, and it actually is like feels separates you more from like the movement. It's kind of less immersive. So it sounds like it's not ideal to have the hands kind of just floating, but like it's better than having arms attached. So I think, yeah, no, it sounds like it's intentional.
I played the controller version of Climb, and I thought I think the opposite of what you're trying to say is like I felt restricted being only having to use like, because the way it works is like you're climbing an actual mountain and like your triggers are your hands. So like you grab on with the right trigger or the left trigger for your left hand, and then like your aim is your like reach with your other hand, and your hands are like automatically, you know, put there for you. So like I was frustrated because it's like I want to be able to like actually put my hand there instead of like just look and then trigger. Like it just seemed kind of cheap. Like whenever Oculus Touch comes out, I want to try the Climb, or is that right? Oculus Touch? Is that the correct?
I think
that's what it's called.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. But whenever Oculus's like independent hand controllers come out, I want to try it just to see, because I think it'd be super cool to actually, you know, move your hands where you want to go.
Yeah, I just found the article I was thinking of. Crytek said that's because VR is immediate. The inevitable difference between a single character's arms as rendered in the game world and the player's own arms in reality causes problems. So like, there's no way for them to track where your forearms are, but like your hands, they can track, so they only render your hands.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I actually hadn't considered that. So, oh shit, Randall Thoros joined us. What's up, man?
He's been here.
What's up, buddy? Can you hear us?
Oh, he joined.
Yeah, he joined. No, he's gonna. I want him to talk about Battlefield 1's campaign before we get off because he's actually
I haven't heard about this.
What is going on?
Yeah,
guys?
so what's up, man?
Not much. Played some of that Battlefield 1 campaign, courtesy of EA Access.
Right, we're gonna as we're almost done talking about this PSVR stuff, and then I was hoping you could enlighten us a little bit on what you think. So
did anybody throw up yet, or what?
I haven't played it. Well, I played it like maybe 5 months ago at a GameStop. I didn't have any issues with it. JT didn't have any issues with it, although he Although I know that some people have had issues with Drive Club VR. I think was the big culprit. Making people vomit in their laps, or at least spin in circles and feel sick the rest of the day.
Your mileage may vary. I mean, nobody is going to react to it the same way. Definitely try it if you can before making an investment. It didn't bother me all that much in the store, so I'm like, yeah, I'll do this, and I'm glad I did. I think going forward, it's going to really be able to provide a lot of cool experiences.
Let me ask you this, and this is for everybody.
Not just PSVR, VR in general. I'm talking, but
well, and I guess kind of that's where I'm taking with this. Like let's take PSVR as like 1/3 of a whole. You got you got Oculus, you've got the Vive. Do you guys think that this is something that is going to move mainstream, or do you think this is forever doomed to remain niche? And like JT, I'm primarily speaking to you, but this is for everybody because I mean, as it stands right now, it's $399, right? And from what I understand, most of these are experiences, right? Like very few of them are actually what I would call like really involved 10-hour campaign style games, right? And that changes with things like Resident Evil 7, for example. But right now, they're more experiences.
I guess I can go first on that.
Go ahead, man.
The 2016 estimate for hardware revenues from VR headsets and peripherals was estimated at $5 billion. And just this past week, the Juniper Research Group came out and said that during the same time, they expect to see that number jump to $50 billion. That's a 10 times over. They've increased their expectations. So I'm not saying that I share the opinion, but I do think there is some potential there, especially on the PC side, to see
the shit just fucking boggles
VR.
my mind.
Well, I just looked it up.
Okay, all right, thank God, because I was like, why do you know that?
Oddly enough, I was looking for Steep VR, and this has both in the article.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, it happened to be something that I kind of agree with. Without the numbers, that I do think this will take off, especially when there are improvements to VR on PC.
All right, let me ask you. I got a question for Brandon real quick. Brandon, I know that you want Res Infinite on VR like fucking no other, right? Do you see yourself playing like is that all you want it for, or do you actually want the VR experience itself?
50-50. So like, yeah, Res is that good. I'm not gonna spend $400 on fucking Res. Obviously, that'd be retarded.
Yeah, I was and that's kind of what I was wondering. Is there other than Res, is there like another experience on PSVR that is compelling you?
I would like to try out a demo. I need to try it for my. Obviously, I'm not spend $400 without trying it out for myself. Like I've literally never played VR, so I have no frame of reference other than I just watched a little bit of JT's Twitch VODs while we were doing this. Kind of like get a feel for it.
It's kind of weird to watch somebody play VR because it's like, for one, it like kind of fisheyes the image or whatever. You don't get the full thing, but it kind of gives you a rough image of what it looks like to be playing a VR game.
Yeah.
So let me throw something at Rand here. Rand, you're primarily an Xbox gamer. There have been rumblings, I don't know how true these are, but there have been rumblings about a partnership or maybe Microsoft bringing the Oculus experience to either the Xbox One or the Scorpio. Is that something that you would be interested in? Or do you think that's going to happen at all? And if it does, do you think that's something that gamers would flock to on the Xbox?
Would I be interested in it? Hell no. Hell no. I'm not interested in any version of VR. It just doesn't appeal to me. Like when I play my games, I play for hours at a time when I get a chance to, and it seemed I'm sure you guys watched Jeff Gerstmann play that like launch stream where he was playing Batman, and it seemed like he took that helmet off and he looked like he had just been through the ringer, right? And I'm like, if that's what you look like after playing an hour of VR, then I am out, And I have bouts of vertigo, so I already deal with motion sickness and stuff, so. The game, it's like the same thing with Kinect. Kinect offered me no experience that, like, for a game-wise that I wanted to try out, and I don't think VR offers that either, at least for what I want. I mean, I'm willing to try it. Like, I'm willing to try it to see if I like it, but I mean, I think the price is a barrier. I mean, $400, $500. What is it? $800 for Vive,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is ridiculous expensive, and there's really no like killer software out for it yet.
And I think that really I think that's for every hardware launch really. Like I mean, there wasn't anything incredibly compelling for the PS4 or for the Xbox One.
No, I would disagree. I mean, even at Xbox One and PS4, they had some pretty good. I mean, they both had like 20 to 25 games that came out.
Well,
I mean,
that's
actual
true.
games,
Killzone,
Rise, Dead Rising. I mean, there were games to play that you're accustomed to. Like I've watched the VR stuff, and it's all just seems like it's like the Wii all over again. It's just a collection of mini games that they compile together that you can play for 15 minutes at a time. What VR needs is like a game like Gears of War 4 or like what's the Horizon Zero Dawn, where the entirety of the game is played using VR.
Well, you're getting
No, I
that with
disagree.
Resident Evil 7.
I totally disagree with that because people are not. I mean, people are different. They're going to have different experiences, but I do not want to spend. I don't want to play a game like Destiny where I spend hours upon hours with that game. I don't want to spend that in a headset because you do get fatigue after a while. And these are experiences that are meant to be short and quick and easy. And like I don't think I would physically want to do that. So yeah, I mean I agree. But I mean everybody's experience is going to be different. You may have some people that are willing to spend 15 hours with it inside of a VR headset, but I don't. I know I don't. And it's going to be very hard to convince people to spend time on a AAA game, for lack of a better word, that much time inside of a headset.
It's kind of interesting because VR, as far as gaming goes, is kind of a relatively new concept. It hasn't taken off like it has in other fields. And things like studying the effects of, say, sports trauma in psychology, they have units at Stanford and a bunch of other schools that do research with VR headsets, and they've been doing this for like 15 years. So these guys, now that they're showing them like the VR games and the horror genre specifically, these guys are saying like, look, you don't want to do this. You don't want to treat it like a media experience. You need to treat it like an experience, because when you scare somebody, one guy called it borderline immoral. Like your brain is affected by it. I don't know how much of this is just the noise that comes along with like violence in video games, that kind of tone. But it'll be interesting to see how much a user can take as far as exposure to that kind of stimulus.
Oh God, are we going to have stories come out like if you die in VR, you die in real life?
Online things going on there.
I don't know. As far as like if Xbox does it, I don't. Like I said, I'm willing to try it out, but I'm not on board. Like I already lived through the Kinect, and I played like pretty much every Kinect game, and I am not a fan of any of that stuff.
I think VR is different.
It has to be considered different.
VR is different than the Kinect or the Wii, but it's not different in the fact that it's meant to be like a full experience. Yeah, I think it's its own thing. You know,
you're right. But the problem with that is it's so goddamn expensive. I mean, if it was $100, an add-on for $100 or something, but we're talking. I mean, if I were to get I don't have a PlayStation, so if I really wanted PlayStation VR, I mean, for me, we're talking what, $1,000, right? I would need a PlayStation, and I would need the $500 version of. I mean, that's a really big expenditure for something I'm not even sure I would enjoy. Like, I know I would enjoy the PlayStation 4. But like, I don't know if I'm ready for VR. Maybe VR will be great 2 years from now. Maybe when they get the headset, so they get the fatigue under control, they get the price down, but more games come out, better games come out. Maybe it'll be a better experience. But I don't know. It's like, what makes me, like, I mean, we talked about puking, and that's funny, but like, what makes me puke is the price on the thing. $500 is like, holy crap.
Yeah.
You know, like,
it's a tough pill to swallow.
It's absurd. And I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm sure you guys saw the Steam stuff. Like, apparently nobody really uses Vive or Oculus that much anymore.
I've heard that.
The Steam survey or the Steam surveys. So I mean, I honestly think VR is going to be carried forward by PlayStation, just because PlayStation has a lot of units out there. Yep. They're the most affordable, even though it's probably not the greatest. But if you're already looking at like hardcore PC players not using the Vive and Oculus, wow! I mean, that speaks volumes. You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're
I
right.
I think going forward, we have a good baseline set right now. It provides a decent experience. It's not a fantastic experience. You can still kind of see the what's that expression? You can see the stuff behind the curtain or whatever. You can kind of tell what's going on inside of your experience, like because you can see underneath. Like you can see the light bleeding that I talked about before, or like the screen door. As tech improves and prices go down because like competition and all that, I think it's only going to get better. Like we have a good base now, and I think going forward, I don't think it's going to be a Kinect or a Wii or like a gimmicky thing or like the Move or 3D or anything like that. I don't. I can see it maybe like the hype dying for it, because everybody's like, oh, VR, VR, VR. Everybody's talking about it, but I think we're just going to see an improvement in the hardware, and so that'll make the experiences better. The user base may go down, but I think this is kind of has its own little niche.
Well, everybody's talking about it because this is what we imagined as kids. Like putting on a device and being in a different world, and like, that is like a dream essentially of like every kid growing up, or even when someone sees the Matrix, like just putting on a helmet and being somewhere else and living another life. And but I mean, come on, let's be honest though, like killer app for VR is porn.
Yeah.
When I was at E3, Maka did the Naughty America demo they had there. Jesus. And he came out of that demo and he's like, I'm fucking buying one of these things. It's that good. Like the VR porn is that. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like, I didn't have the balls to do the demo, but like, yeah, I mean, VR porn. I mean, what is more a basic need than some sex stuff, right? And like actually I'd be all down for VR porn. If you told me it was the best thing ever, I'd be like, I'd consider plunking down some money for some VR porn.
Can you imagine what the controls for that'll look like? but yeah, I'll end on this, and then we'll get Rand's thoughts on it. I know Brandon's like, I just want to talk about fucking games now. Brandon's like, I'm done talking about VR. I guess it's doing better. It's doing better than anybody had anticipated originally. There's an article on IGN that said Sony's projecting to sell well over. They're saying 2 million units of PSVR by the end of the year.
Shit.
However, they do raise a good point. And this is a point that we've raised in the podcast before, is that in the past, Sony has stumbled with manufacturing appropriate amounts of new products early in their life cycles. And the other interesting thing they're saying is that Sony is already selling PSVR at a profit. Interesting. Sean Layden told Polygon, he says, we're making money on the VR console, although he didn't elaborate further. And again, they go on to talk about more than 2 million units by the end of 2016. That is a lot more than I had originally anticipated. If it hits that, that's what they're anticipating, but we'll see whether or not that actually happens. But I'm glad whenever new hardware launches, as long as it's good and people enjoy the experience, I'm happy that it's doing well.
I will say just one thing about the support. Like, that's a legitimate concern of mine too. But I went and looked at the coming soon section on the PlayStation Store for PSVR, and Ubisoft has got 2 games coming out, like the Star Trek thing, whatever, and then the Eagle Flight, which I thought looked pretty cool at the Ubisoft conference at E3 this year. And so, like, did all these like failed stuff? Did they have like support of major developers like this before that? Like the PS Move, like were major devs, major publishers on board with this from the get-go? Like, I mean, I can't remember. Like, were they supporting this stuff or?
No, I don't think anybody really was. I think it was just Sony because they had like Resistance and Killzone and all those like crappy sports games. But yeah, I don't remember Ubisoft.
So, I mean, that's encouraging to see major publishers like that, and I hope that those games do relatively well enough for them to greenlight future VR projects like that, and also other developers see that and they're like, oh, cool, like there is a market for this, and then we get some better, way improved software.
I'm kind of interested in the unintended version of this. when video games first came out, people were like, oh, it rots your brain or whatever. And then they brought it into the lab and they're doing these studies on folks and they realized, well, gaming enhances a lot of different forms of intelligence. There's this spatial reasoning thing that is certainly improved by it, map reading. Actually, in some lab studies, vision is improved by video games. On eye charts, people are going 2 and 3 further, or 2 and 3 rows further down if they're like an action game shooter. Their problem-solving skills are significantly better, and actually, it tends to change the mind because they come back months later, and those scores are still improved based on the training they were given in the lab just with video games. So, Daphne Bevelier and a few others have talked extensively about this. Gad Saad, he has a SAD podcast related. He's an evolutionary psychologist examining selection pressures. So those pressures that kind of force people to be more intelligent or faster, those kinds of things, has pontificated that there are a lot of different things that if it can make you smarter in the short term, it's going to make your lineage smarter. These indirect factors that come along with just playing action video games kind of beg the question, what kind of stuff can we see from VR? A heightened sense of maybe hearing or some such thing is something you could make a direct correlation. I'm not saying that might happen. I'm just kind of interested to see what those same personalities say about VR in the coming years.
That's true. My son's a fucking genius.
When you look at, I don't think they let it out for Call of Duty Black Ops 3, but for Black Ops 2, they said in the first month, people around the world played 600 million hours of that game. That's 65,000 years worth of effort.
Jesus,
it's crazy. So you just want people to be doing something that's positive in that time if they're going to spend it on any experience.
Steve, what you just said was probably the most intelligent thing that anybody's ever said on the fucking podcast. I just want to point that out.
That's not.
You literally, you've wow. Holy shit! I can barely comprehend what just happened. That was amazing. Everybody in chat's like, "Jesus, Steve is smart." I'm like, "Oh, he's really not that smart." I know.
Thanks, John.
Is my mic shitting out again?
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, here, real quick, before we go, I wanted to get Rand's thoughts on Battlefield 1 while he's on the campaign. While he's doing that, I'm going to drop once more and come back in so we can wrap up. But Rand, why don't you talk about Battlefield 1 a bit?
Yeah. So, I'm a big Battlefield fan, obviously, more for the multiplayer than for the single player. DICE, I don't think, has actually put out a really good single player game. I think Call of Duty's campaigns are always better. But then, you watch the trailers they put out, these cinematic trailers they put out for Battlefield 1, and they're really good. Whoever cuts those trailers, I'm like, all right, so I'm really interested. So it hit EA Access. And that prologue mission you start off in is actually quite good. And I'm like, all right, if this is what the campaign is like, I'm down for this ride, right? Because you die and then you become somebody else, and there's more story told, and again, and you become somebody else, and it really kind of like ramps up in a really cool way. Like it's really interesting.
It's different than a lot of the things out right now, where like you feel like you're all powerful.
Yeah, like so. I was like, all right, like if this is what the game's going to be like, then I'm sold. And then. So it's like the prologue mission. So then they open up the actual like first proper missions called Through the Mud and Blood or whatever it's called, and you're in a tank for the majority of it. And the first map you're on, I got the sense I'm like, wait a minute, is this a multiplayer map? Am I playing the single player campaign on multiplayer maps? And I saw some people talking about it. And it seems like that may be the case. Like it seems like the majority of the game is going to, like single player wise, takes place on the multiplayer maps.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Because all I was doing in the first mission was just capturing flag points. Like I was playing like Conquest. Like you're rolling up in a tank, and everybody's rushing, and you roll up and you sit in where the flag is, and you kill the people around it, and their flag goes down, and your flag goes up, and I'm like, this is weird. This is like straight from multiplayer. And it's like, all right, move forward, push again. And then your next objective is to go to the next flag and capture that thing. And I'm like, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Like, what is going on with this campaign? And, you beat that level and then you're on the next one where you're on foot. And I just got the sense that, like, maybe the rumors were true. Like, all the campaign takes place on multiplayer. And So they're doing this thing with this. They're doing the thing with this story. They're called war stories, so it's not like one singular story from beginning to end. It's like 6 vignette, or what do they call it? Vignettes or whatever.
Vignettes, yeah.
So it's like you're this guy, and it seems like there's 4 missions, and then that one's over, and then there's a new set of new character for 4 missions. But it just, I don't think it's going to be very good after playing it.
Yeah, I was kind of hopeful for it, and then I played like 4 out of the 5 missions in the front because. So yeah, the war story. There's like 5 missions in it. I played like 4 out of the 5, and I thought they were going to focus a lot on character and stuff. They're doing the same thing they did in Battlefield 3 and 4. Like, I don't care about any of these characters. They're not talking to me in any way that makes me interested in them. I'm just walking around shooting people.
But man, did the trailer sure make it look like it was going to be like that.
Exactly. Really
yeah.
The trailer and the prologue sets it up to be a game that it's not. In my opinion.
The prologue's awesome, and then you get in the tank. The tank, I kind of like the tank mission, but then when I got on foot, I was just like, this feels like Battlefield 4 and World War I, and I did not like Battlefield 4.
As soon as I was out of the tank, and I was like, in that, like, you're in the mission with the fog going around, I just really wasn't feeling it. I'm like, eh. And then, yeah, you're right. The cutscenes look good. I will say that. The cutscenes look really good. The game looks fantastic. I think I'm playing.
Yeah, even on Xbox, it looks great.
Yeah, I'm playing upscaled on 4K because I got Xbox One S and I have a 4K TV, so it's upscaled.
Yeah,
looks really good. No HDR support yet, though. Like, it didn't. I wonder how that would look. But yeah, that prologue is fantastic. I want a game like that.
Right.
But it sounds.
Yeah, even that first cutscene in the tank made me think like, oh, these characters are gonna be fleshed out, and then they just dropped that. It's so weird. Even after I stopped playing, I thought back and I was like, there's no squad chatter at all. Besides like, oh, move up. Like, there's nothing.
So to like give viewers a little bit of context for this like prologue that we're talking about, it's like, so it starts you out in the trenches. It's like, okay, hold the line or whatever. And so you're like shooting a little bit, and then as your health degrades down, like the enemies overwhelm you, things slow down, like it starts going into slow motion, and you eventually die. Like, it's just inevitable. And so that zooms you to another part of the battle where there's like a guy on a minigun who's like trying to fend off the guys. So you eventually get like airstriked or whatever, and then it takes you onto another one where you inevitably die again. And so it's interesting because it takes you to different parts of the battle and allows you to experience like different methods, like holding the line versus like moving up and batting down the hatches kind of thing. And it sets it up as like, oh, is every mission going to be like this? Because that'd be super cool if you like zoomed around the battlefield and like coordinated like a strikes or whatever, like flank the enemy. But seems like that's all for naught. It's just kind of like a teaser.
Yeah, I mean, like JT was just saying, like, there's the part at the end, like you put the helmet on because there's like gas, right? So you got the helmet on and you're killing people, and then you die because you get overrun, and then you switch to another character with a different gun, and the music starts getting like really loud and bombastic and kind of like sad in a way, and then you do some stuff and then you die, and then you switch to somebody else. And it gets even better. And I'm like, dude, I'm loving this prologue. Like, this is awesome, right? And then because they point out that, like, you're not a Superman. Like, lots of people died, and it's like
it shows the name of the dude right there, and like the time where he was born, and then the time where he died.
Good.
Yeah,
it is. The prologue is fantastic, and then you get into the first proper mission, and it's just like, oh, this is
I want to watch this prologue.
Okay, this is just regular.
Yeah,
looks cool.
This is regular Battlefield.
Yeah, the intro to the prologue, like, there's like a whole few splash screens that are like, it was supposed to be the war to end all wars. It ended nothing, and it really, like, the whole prologue sells the futility of World War I and like
pulling a little cup,
all these people dying and stuff. Yeah, and then it throws you into the normal missions, and it's just like, oh, you died. Here's a philosophical quote or something. Go back, try it again.
Do you guys feel like this is deceptive? You feel like
no, not really.
No, I feel like it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's just whoever cut those trailers probably deserves a raise.
Yeah, and I feel like the prologue's a good idea that they couldn't stretch over a full game and tell, like they couldn't tell a story over 5 hours.
I can't believe I got suckered into it again, man. Like, I should know better. I played all the DICE Battlefield games. They don't do good single-player stuff.
And, this is really frustrating to me because I know they can. Because Battlefield Bad Company's campaign I loved.
And they won't go back to that for whatever reason.
I don't understand it. I'm like, you guys, all you have to do is make Battlefield Bad Company 3. That's it. That's all you have to fucking do, because the Battlefield Bad Company is still one of my favorite single-player first-person shooter campaigns of all time.
Because it has got character. It's got humor.
It's got character. It's funny. You can relate to the characters. It's well-written. And ever since then, they just continue to drop the ball with every fucking Battlefield release. And I just don't understand. I don't get what's so hard about it.
And it's weird because if you remember, Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2 were like some of the best-selling EA games at the time.
Yep.
Definitely bigger than some of the earlier Battlefields. But I don't know why they just dropped that. Like, they did the Battlefield 3 and then they did Battlefield 4. But they just completely dropped Bad Company. I don't understand.
3 sold like multiple times more than Battlefield Bad Company 2.
It's so bad.
Yeah, but I think the only reason Battlefield 3 sold that much is because it was off the back of Bad Company. Because Bad Company 1 and 2...
I don't know, because Bad Company 2 sold about slightly better than Bad Company 1, and then Battlefield 3 sold like 4 times as much.
Well, right, but I mean...
It went from like 2 million to 10 million.
But I mean, look at Modern Warfare. You got Modern Warfare sold well, right? And then World of War sold about the same as Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
And then Call of Duty didn't blow up until Modern Warfare 2, where then it was like fucking super huge. I think the same thing happened here. It was like people really enjoyed Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2, and then they actually did 3 proper. Everybody who loved the like numbered Battlefields, plus everybody who loved Bad Company, decided to jump on it. And then became super big.
I think it was Call of Duty 4 was the massive. I mean, because Call of Duty 3 sold about as much as 2, and that was about 2 million. And then Call of Duty 4 came in and sold like 8 million. And then Modern Warfare 2. And then, yeah, you were right that World of War sold about as much as COD 4 did. And then Modern Warfare 2 brought it up to like 12 million. But it was pretty steady in that way. I don't think it's quite the same as the difference between Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3. Because it's just, like, if you look at a graph, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, it makes sense why they went the way they did with Battlefield. Based purely on.
Well, I'm sure EA was probably like, "No, you're making Battlefield."
Yeah,
proper.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even if there's people at DICE that want to make a Bad Company 3, EA is like, "We're giving you the money to make Battlefield 1, and you're going to make Battlefield 1 like you made Battlefield 3 and 4."
Yeah, now that they're doing Battlefield and Battlefront, there's no way we're getting Bad Company 3.
No.
Yeah, but isn't Battlefront made by the DICE LA studio, the ones that used to do Medal of Honor?
I think it is. I feel like Stockholm.
The guys that got merged in with was it Danger Close?
My only hope
Uprising, because I saw that on the splash screen for Battlefield 1.
Uprising Studios or something like that?
Yeah, they've helped on a couple of games. #skate4 in chat.
Well, I mean, these games are so huge. I mean, Gears of War 4 wasn't completely done by Coalition. The multiplayer was done by a lot of it was done by Splash Damage. You guys remember Splash Damage?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They did enemy.
Yeah, they did Brink and Dirty Bomb or whatever.
Dirty
Bomb.
Bomb.
I mean, these games cost so much money, and they're so huge that multiple studios have to help out.
Yeah.
EA putting out.
I just want a Bad Company game, please.
Yeah,
please just bring me back Bad Company.
I was gonna say my only hope is
favorite. It would be the fan favorite choice.
If they announced Bad Company 3 next year, it would fucking sell like wildfire at this point. I think because I think people at this point just want Bad Company back. I really do. Yeah. So I mean, who knows? Maybe EA will. I don't know. Maybe that's what they'll do. But it sounds to me from what you guys are telling me that the single player campaign is just it's another dud. It's another Battlefield dud from DICE as far as the campaign.
I just don't think they're going to put up the budget to make another single player campaign in the way that Bad Company 1 and 2 were.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of tried.
I think it shows with Bad Company 1 reusing the assets from the multiplayer that like they just don't see the investment to be worth it.
That's fucking unfortunate.
A campaign of its own assets.
Meanwhile, we still don't have a fucking Dead Space 4.
Oh, that's never happening.
Yeah, we do. It's called Prey.
Because Visceral made Battlefield Hardline. And that was a huge success. They're not going to make them make a fucking
Was
Dead
it
Space
really
4.
though? Was it really a huge?
Yo, Battlefield Hardline was like the number 4 top downloaded game on PSN like last month.
Was it? No,
It might have
shit.
been on sale.
Because it was.
Well, it's because it was on
$5.
sale on Xbox for $5 too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But no, that game was hitting NPD huge for like months. Like it was a big success. I don't know
waste.
how. I don't know how. It looks boring as fuck to me.
It looks
I don't
boring as fuck.
I don't care.
but you guys didn't play Hardline?
I played
I
it.
didn't give. I don't give a
never
shit.
played it.
about
I know
Hardline.
Steve
like
played it. I know
Battlefield
Steve
4
played
with
it.
flatter maps.
Hardline was all right. It just wasn't. It's not worth $60. The campaign's interesting, but
Yeah, I got like 3
You know.
missions on the campaign. It just wasn't catching me.
Same.
It was
here.
it was all right. It tried to do something interesting, but it just like kind of fell flat on its face. Like the whole like arresting people thing. It was more of a gimmick than it was.
Kind of like a TV show.
Yeah.
Like, that's an interesting idea.
Well,
but-
we've.
John, do you
I
think they'll
we've-
bring back Dead Space though? You think they'll bring it back at some point? Dead Space, remaster
They
it.
said they wanted to. They said that. So I
I would
do.
love a Dead Space 1-2 remaster.
I would buy
Amazing.
that day one just for Dead Space 1 and 2. Dead Space 3 is all right, but
You
Dead
guys
Space
Space 3
3
is garbage. Dead Space 3 is garbage compared to 1 and 2.
I'm
I
still
need to play it long enough to know if it's garbage or not. It was that boring.
I'm still years later coming to grips with the fact that it was pretty bad. But so you've still got to give me some time on that. But Dead
Come
Space
It's a
on,
lack
1,
of horror
ruins
game
everything.
playing it in co-op, right? Nothing
Yeah,
spells horror like
yeah.
playing with the buddy.
right?
What a
Yeah,
joke.
It's fucking.
Well, I mean, it
But-
didn't even in Dead Space 3, it ruined like the whole thing that made Dead Space cool, which was like targeting body limbs. Like, because in Dead Space 3,
Yeah,
you're fighting against humans, so you're just fucking shooting them in the head and they're dead. Unlike
yeah,
with the necromorphs. where you
Severed
have to-
limbs in Dead Space 3? I never played 3, so.
Well, you're mostly
you-
fighting humans in Dead Space 3. That's the
Okay.
problem.
And I don't think you could sever the human's limbs in Dead Space 3, could you?
I don't think so either. They did nerf
Yeah.
the damage.
I know
a
that you
little
could
bit,
like
damage
make
modeling.
like super OP weapons, but
Yeah.
And I was all excited when Dead Space 3 was announced because like it was the snowy planet. And I was like, I'm getting some serious Thing vibes from this, right? I was like, this is fucking awesome.
yeah.
And then it hit, and I was like, this is not, you don't even get to the
I
you don't
want,
even get to
I
top
want
one
a
until
Thing
the end of the
game
game.
in modern technology.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
that's
'Cause,
what I
like,
wanted. That's
Did you ever play
yeah.
the PS2 one? Because that was pretty
Oh,
cool.
dude, the thing was great. Yeah,
Dude,
that was
It
fucking
had a
So-
lot of problems, but it was
which
cool.
one's better? If you had to choose Dead Space 1 or Dead Space 2, which one would you play?
I like 2 more.
I like them equally.
Extraction.
like Isaac.
But
I
if I had to pick one, I would say one. If I had to.
a protagonist, so I'd have to pick 2.
I think 2 is a better game. I did get. I don't know. Did any of you guys get the achievement or trophy for beating the game with like less than 3 saves or whatever?
Nope.
No.
Where you die and you
Nope.
got to start. Oh man, that caused some heart palpitations. Woo! I think I died like one
Okay.
time on like I had a save in like chapter 6 and I was like I had used them all up and I had to beat the rest of the game without dying and then I got to that eye drill scene. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't?
And I screwed up. I didn't do it right and I had to like. Oh god! I like turned off my Xbox. I'm like, oh my god! Like no. Why won't they just instead of remastering shit like Prototype? Why don't they remaster fucking Mass Effect and Dead Space, games people actually want?
I was just about to bring that up. They're sitting on such a huge pile of cash if they did that.
Yeah, I would pay out the fucking nose for like the Dead Space collection or like the Isaac Clarke collection or the Necromorph
Isaac Clarke
collection
collection.
or whatever you want to call it. But I would pay for it. I would pay $60 just for Dead Space 1 and 2.
I would too.
Commander Shepard collection. There you
The
go.
Commander Shepard. Yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna. Now I take that back. I think we'll probably get it someday.
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I think the end of 3 just left it in the end of 3 and the DLC just left it in such a weird place that we are not getting a 4th one.
No.
But at any rate, we'll who the fuck is Ruben Ryzen in chat?
I don't know.
I don't know. It just message deleted all over the place. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and here because we're getting kind of long in the tooth. But I wanted to thank real quick Rand for jumping in and talking about Battlefield 1. Man, appreciate that. Hanging out with this dude and Flunky. I know that your voice is probably done by now, man. You've talked so much Shadow Warrior 2 and PSVR, but
No, I had a good time. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad dominating the podcast, but
no, dude, you're good. No, these are the
It was the
impressions
most
that
interesting thing there was to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, the world
Yeah.
needed to hear it, man. The world needed to hear it. And plus, more Flunky is never a bad thing.
yeah, it's fun.
And of course, don't forget our website is now being saturated with more content. So go to superformgamescast.com. You can read JT's Shadow Warrior 2, I guess, quasi-review is the best thing to call it. Impressions, maybe?
It's an impression review thing without a review score. Yeah.
Yep. And my review for Darkest Dungeon is going to go live tonight. We're going to start populating the website with more and more content, so please come back and visit us on there. In regards to the Call of Duty beta code, I got this code right before we went live, and I didn't have anything planned. It just kind of fell in my lap. So what I'm going to do is this. Do you guys know how long the beta is live for?
It's running this weekend and next weekend, I believe.
Okay, cool. So what we'll do is when we get off the podcast here, no, JT, you can't have the beta. We will. I'll tell you what. I'll have somebody retweet a tweet from one of our accounts, and then we'll use tweet.
How about our official SCGC account?
Yes, there you go. Perfect.
_podcast on Twitter.
If you at SDGC __ podcast on Twitter, we will tweet out a giveaway for the Call of Duty beta code. It's on PS4, and if you retweet that, you will be in the running tomorrow to pick up your Call of Duty beta code. So please, we'll tweet that tonight. Please check that out. And if nobody has anything else, as always, it's not always poetry, and we don't always agree, but we always keep it real. Thanks for everybody coming out and checking this out tonight. Jeff will be back next week, so it's going to be decisively more Canadian on the podcast once again. And
time for me to disappear.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, no, you're gone next week, aren't you, for a while?
A little bit, yeah.
We're going to miss you. All right, boys. Everybody have a good motherfucking night.